Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Flying and Eating. Today, let's go somewhere and do something, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hey guys, it's Adam here. In the previous episode of Flying and Eating, I made my way down to Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm hanging out with, of course, the Atlanta Dave, where we went to a whole bunch of restaurants, we did a whole bunch of fun stuff. I was actually also filming stuff for a little movie I'm going to be in and everything, but today we actually have a good plan. We're going down to Warm Springs, Georgia to see something really cool.
Good morning. It is day 4 here in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, actually, where are we specifically? Are we still in Atlanta, technically?
Around Buckhead, but yeah, basically Atlanta.
Buckhead, okay. We are at the Buttermilk Cafe.
Buttermilk Kitchen.
Right, I'll let him talk.
Yeah, Buttermilk Kitchen. It's a very, very nice place. I had to make reservations, so it's really nice. It's pretty good.
Reservations for 8 a.m. It's not even 8 a.m. yet. We're outside waiting for our own reservations for the place to open to eat breakfast. We actually tried to go here in a previous video. Well, it would have been in the video. We just didn't bother using the footage. But we failed because they were like, oh yeah, it's like a 4-hour wait or whatever it was.
It was 2 hours.
2-hour wait. Yeah, so we're going to do this now. This has been on the list for, what, now 2 years?
A year and a half, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So go to him for the facts. Okay, our food has arrived. We got chicken and waffles, obviously with syrup, and we got a side of a biscuit and blueberry jam, I guess. And you got
Exact same thing. Exactly the same thing.
The guy basically tells us, yeah, we specialize in the chicken and the waffles and the biscuits, so we're just like, let's just do what you do.
Came here before, really loved it. And I didn't have the biscuit last time. The biscuit was really freaking good.
Yeah, this place had that you got to have a biscuit type of vibe. In fact, the guy even said that. He was like, yeah, we recommend the chicken biscuit or chicken and waffles. We did chicken and waffles with a side of biscuits. We both did the same thing. You guys saw it. Recommend it. This place kind of famous for packing in like really fast. So either make a reservation or show up exactly when they open if you want to be able to get a chance in here. But yeah, chicken and waffles, good. Biscuit, good. Overall, good. Okay, guys, so we're actually doing a thing now, not just showing you, a restaurant or showing you the outside of the Jimmy Carter Library and like a random flea market type of thing that was going on. What are we doing, Dave?
We are at...
Where are we?
We are in Warm Springs, Georgia.
What's in Warm Springs, Georgia?
It is where Franklin Delano Roosevelt had his little White House.
Yeah, this is called the Little White House. If you guys saw my Franklin Delano Roosevelt like presidential library video, this was his retreat he came down to. This is the place that kind of reinvigorated him after he got the polio diagnosis, and he spent a lot of time down here. Famously, and maybe we'll see it, there's a car here that he had customized to use just by his, with his hands. And once he had that, he started driving around this whole area. The dude grew up very rich, and he thought like, oh, this is just how the world is. Until he starts driving around Georgia and realizes a lot of people like were suffering at the time. He's like, this isn't how it should be. And it inspired him to be a much better president eventually. So this car isn't the one we were talking about before. This is one of them. The original car that he drove all around Georgia in preparation for the presidency, which kind of formed him, unfortunately is not here. And where it actually is, I'm not sure, but it's cool to see this version of a car. Various presidents have visited here before. JFK made a speech, Jimmy Carter made a speech, and Bill Clinton made a speech. I think that's very neat. But anyway, let's go inside and just kind of scope it out. So inside they have samples of like the braces, one of the wheelchairs. This one was apparently designed by FDR, which is interesting. He designed a lot of stuff. So here they have the 38 Ford. This is also not that same car, but this is one of the cars that FDR had, as well as this stagecoach and a lot of things. In case you're not familiar, basically this whole area it's called White House South, right?
Basically, it's
yeah,
called the Little White House.
Little White House, but White House South, essentially. So before he was president, he came down here to get the healing waters, magical healing waters of Georgia and the Warm Springs, believing it would like cure his legs and cure polio, which was not true, but it helped him emotionally get through that type of thing. But he loved the area so much that once he was president, he kind of insisted in having this as his kind of retreat. And he would come down here very often. This is also, in case it isn't obvious, when he famously does die, that happens while he's having a portrait taken of him. Which that portrait is here. We will show it to you. He was a big stamp collector. FDR was one of us, man. He was a hoarder nerd. Just saying. Yeah, this is more about what I was talking about. FDR drives to meet the people, and he would have this custom hand crank car, so he would operate it like this. It's unfortunate that particular car is not here because he did take it and drive around this whole area. That's a photo of it there, actually, I believe. So yeah, this one is very similar to like a presidential library in that they kind of tell his whole story from beginning to end. They have a bunch of artifacts. This one's just a little unique because it's not really his presidential library, but it kind of almost is a second one just because of how much stuff he had, how long he was president, and the fact that he spent so much time down here. I think it's kind of neat to see this, especially having just gone to the FDR Library in Hyde Park. So famously, Teddy Roosevelt talked about, speak softly and carry a big stick. That's, I guess, Teddy's big stick, as well as FDR's big stick. It's kind of just a metaphor for you want peace, but you must be prepared for war. Yeah, this is a section that basically expands on that whole thing about the portrait that was being made when he suddenly collapsed and died. And then just a story about how that artist, Madame Elizabeth Shumatoff, and how she eventually made one additionally for President Johnson. And I think that's it right there. And then they just kind of brought it over here to this museum. It's cool to see where some of these weirdo artifacts just end up. So this is like the entirety of this museum. They made a mini museum, which is what we're in, but it basically goes through, it just truncates like the entirety of FDR's pre-life, his election, his presidency, the war, and his death and everything. Very cool thing to check out if you are into presidential history. It's just kind of an alternate to his actual presidential library. But keep in mind, this one is much smaller. But we're going to go check out the next part. So a little bit of bad luck on our part. So the springs that FDR famously came to, they were like pools and everything that he thought had magical properties, whatever, is not that far from here. It's part of this complex. Unfortunately, bad luck. They're under reconstruction right now, so we're not even allowed to go scope them out, sadly. But they're here if you ever want to come check it out. That's the museum section. Up there's something called Mustian Place. I don't know what that is. And Little White House, I guess, is down there. So that's what we're going to check out. So here we have what they call the servants' quarters. We're just going to ignore that. Here we also have the guest house. And then here is Little White House, which is what the primary piece we're going to go scope out. So this is the entrance. It's modernized with air conditioning, thankfully, because it is Georgia. And inside, it does smell like an old person's house, which is exactly what I wanted it to smell like. But yeah, they just show here's the kitchen, all this other stuff. Preserve artifacts by not touching them. That's an obvious. And yeah, just kind of cool to see that. We'll do a little tour, see what else we can find. So here we have another room, just living space, little reference to his dog and everything. And here's the infamous room where he was, well, frankly, he died. So if you see that really old photo of FDR, the one that's taken right before he died, it was basically shot right here. You can actually notice the books right behind him in the wall right there. So at one point, FDR was right here on the last known photograph of him. And then, of course, the next day, he's sitting there, and that's when he has the cerebral hemorrhage. At the time, he's sitting here in this chair. He's writing some notes with this pen, and his portrait is being taken. This is not the original portrait. We'll show you that later. But he was there, or the painter was there taking his portrait. He basically mentions having a terrible headache, and then he's taken away, I believe, into that room and dies about 2 hours later. So if you guys saw the FDR library video, you will know FDR had an affinity for boats. Apparently, this place was slightly designed to look like the inside of a ship, which is neat. But also, there's a lot of that imagery. There's also this one. And apparently, JFK at one point was here, loved that so much that he requested having one made for himself. And it wasn't finished until after he was assassinated. But it's kind of interesting to see the JFK once stood right here, apparently, looking at that. So this thing is cool. FDR used this. He insured it. It's actually a phonograph player. It is a radio, and it is a dictaphone so that he could record his own audio. That's cool. He once sat there just recording stuff on that. Out here, apparently, this was designed to look like the bow of a ship so he could go out and just kind of feel like he was at sea to some extent. It's kind of an interesting thought. So after FDR suffers from a cerebral hemorrhage out there, he's brought in here onto this bed, and he dies after about 2 hours. And even worse than that, Secret Service had to stay, by his body while the embalmers and everybody did their work, because he was embalmed on this bed. And they were concerned about trophy hunters taking things off of him and stuff, so the Secret Service had to basically stand there and make sure nobody did anything, no funny business, as it were. Revolting as the thought of that is, but yeah, this is the room in which Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States, did in fact pass away. Beyond that room, you have his bathroom. And this is a good reminder this house was basically built, it was built for FDR and it was built around his specifications and obviously around polio. So the bathtub is lowered and it has this it's hard to see in the darkness here, but there's basically a wooden slide. It's like an angle. So if he dropped anything down there, it would just slide down here and be easier to pick up. The toilet is raised to make life easier. The sink is lowered for that reason. And so if you go beyond that, you enter the guest bedroom, or Eleanor's bedroom, which was often used apparently as a guest bedroom. And that chair is freaking me out because my mother had exactly the same one that she got from her mother. Oof. This is one of FDR's actual chairs that he used while he was down here, but there's, as I mentioned before, there's only 4 photos of him in this thing. So that's Little White House. It is little. Only obviously doesn't look anything like the White House. It was just kind of a nickname given to it. Cool little place. It's obviously like a little cottage type of deal. Definitely, if you're into presidential history at all, cool thing to check out. There's one more area we're gonna go scope out before we go. Are you excited?
Yeah.
He is so excited. Look, he can't contain himself.
Yeah.
The Legacy Exhibit. This has the famous final portrait of FDR. There it is, everybody. This is what they call the unfinished portrait. This is what was being taken of him at the time of his death. It's insane to actually see this, because it's like I've seen this online so many times in photos and documentaries and everything, but there it is. Real life. It's just sitting there. They have a bunch of other things in here too, just about his passing. I guess this is the flag that was caped over his casket here, as opposed to being in the presidential library one. And then this weirded me out when I first saw this. I actually thought that looked more like Teddy Roosevelt than Franklin Roosevelt at first. Obviously it's not, but that's just a recreation, not necessarily in wax, but yeah, other portraits and other artifacts and things that are in here. So the Sega Pluto has now visited the FDR unfinished portrait because, yeah, Pluto really likes presidents, doesn't it? Well, it wouldn't be an American museum without ending in the gift shop, would it? So that's cool. I like this one, though. They have something exclusive here to the Little White House. These are water bottles that look like gigantic bullets. Look, they sell the magical healing water from Warm Springs, Georgia. Keep in mind, do not drink, purely a novelty. We're officially on our way out from Little White House. Dave, what did you think of the Little White House?
Yeah, I've been here before. It was cool to kind of be able to come back, and it's a nice historical landmark, if you will.
Yeah, it's cool to see some presidential history. FDR, obviously, very definitive president. Nice to see some of these things, particularly the portrait. That was like honestly the biggest reason we wanted to come down here, is to see that, because it's such an iconic piece of history. So hopefully you guys got a little kick out of that, and if you ever want to check it out for yourself, accessible to you all year round. So we're inside a gas station. Now, this is going to be an OG reference here. Years ago, I did an episode when we were at the, I've been talking about this for a long time, we were at the World of Coke. Atlanta Dave back there. We were at the World of Coke talking about red cream soda and how we could only ever find it at the World of Coke. And I've had a cousin tasking me to try and find him a bottle of it for literally about a decade. I've never found one anywhere. Warm Springs, Georgia. Okay. Do you remember this discussion?
Yeah.
You actually remember when we were at the World of Coke and this came up? Yeah, exactly, everybody. I'm just a little perplexed, but thank you, Georgia, for finally coming in the clutch. So I didn't end up getting the red barks because it was expired. Very expired, actually. So I went with this. I've never seen this before. Sprite Tropical Mix. It smells like oranges, which I guess makes sense given the brand label there. It kind of tastes like, if anybody's old enough to remember, Sprite Remix.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it tastes like Sprite. You want to try some?
Sure. I don't hate it, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are, sometimes sodas can be oddly regional in the United States. They tend to test them in smaller markets before expanding to bigger ones. So when you're out in the country, per se, sometimes you will find stuff like this. That said, I also don't pay a whole lot of attention to soda, so this might be national at this point. I'm an idiot. I have no idea. So we just went to a place called Zero Gravity Games in some part outside of Atlanta.
Yep.
And we have a thing. Sometimes we go into stores and, you know, I'm just going to be honest, sometimes people recognize me from my YouTube videos, not necessarily the travel ones, video game ones. This was a little weird. What happened?
So I walk in there with Adam, and the guy in the front kind of looks at me weird. I think he looked kind of at us, and he was like, "Oh, you from YouTube?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he's from YouTube." And he's like, "No, you look like you're from YouTube." It's like, "Are you Spawnwave?"
Which is hilarious because on our Discord, he looks so much like Spawnwave. We've started calling him Spawn Dave from time to time. Spawnwave's a buddy of mine, John. And so
there's like an emoji of me that like face like on his face, and I'm starting to kind of get more muscle, and so I'm starting to look more like him. And so it's just like...
Yeah, it was funny. And then he started to realize he probably has seen me in the background of other people's videos, because he had a bunch of YouTubers on the channel, and it's all like a bunch of my friends where I've appeared in the background. And that's why I think he was just... It was all just kind of coming together for him. Nice kid. Gen Z, 19 years old. Had no idea really what a Sega Saturn was. He
didn't know what this was.
But he bought it all the same. So anyway, yeah, Zero Gravity Games. It was cool. Just a little fun experience in there. So we just went to another store called Steel Collectibles.
Yeah.
And this time all was right with the universe, because what happened?
Yeah, it was probably something that happens all the time with Adam. Guy runs and said, "Hey, you Adam Koralik?" And, you know, shows him the Pluto, all that stuff.
Yeah, I do whore that thing out. No, thank you. Shout out to Michael if you ever see this. It was very nice meeting you. Thank you for coming up. We just came out of win condition games, and this is kind of an interesting little trilogy of events here. The first place, he was recognized. Second place, I was recognized. This place, we were both recognized. So shout out to Jess. We have a photo of Jess, who was nice enough. Initially she recognized me, and then she also watches this channel, so hi. And she was like, oh, Atlanta Dave. So there you go. What's it like? How does it feel?
I think I've gotten this happen to me before. It happened to me once before.
Yeah, Atlanta Dave is blowing up. You ever see Atlanta Dave in the public? Don't come up to him.
No, just ignore me.
Just ignore him. No, I'm just kidding. The problem is he charges to speak to you. He's very expensive.
My fee's going up. He's going to find out
It's
soon.
ridiculous. You know how much money I'm going to owe him, everybody? I'm going to be making a new Patreon just because of this. It is food time. So what are we doing?
We're getting Indian food.
We are getting Indian food. I miss Indian food. I missed having it in the UK, but we're going to settle for this because neither of us have been to this place. I turned him on to Indian food. Remember that? In Vancouver.
You got me back to it.
I did, yeah. So we just ordered. You getting the white people thing. That's what he's doing. He's right, though. I mean, it's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I am getting the Matar Paneer, which is my gold standard, a lemon rice, and a pashwari naan, which is like the bread, but it's got like berries and stuff in it, so it's coconuts too. Weird.
Yeah, okay.
So our food has partially arrived. This is my lemon rice, and this is my Matar Paneer. We're waiting on our naan. Yep. You've got your, what they call white rice. Yep. Yeah,
Basmati rice.
Basmati, yeah. A lovely chicken tikka. Yeah, we'll show you the naan in now. So here we have garlic naan. That's all Dave. Yep. He went traditional. I decided, hey, they do something weird. I'm going to go with this. This is pashwari naan. It's got cranberries and like coconut and stuff in it. Sweet mix. I'm all for it. So we are leaving Viceroy. I think that's how you pronounce that. What'd you think of Viceroy?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, for American Indian food. Not Native American, you know what I'm saying. For Indian food within the United States, very, very good. Obviously, it doesn't compete with like the UK, but that's not fair. That's just not fair. It's Michael Jordan versus a high school team. It's just not fair. But yeah, no, this is very, very good. If you're out in Atlanta, this is actually a little plus. It's a little piece of advice when it comes to Indian restaurants. The area we're around is not a bad neighborhood, but there's like an abandoned Walmart. There's like a sports bar. It just doesn't look like a place where an Indian place would be. That's when you know it's going to be good. Good morning. It is day 5 here in Atlanta, and more accurately at ATL. And guess what that means? It's time to go home, back to Chicago. All right, I'm all checked in. Keep in mind that ATL is horrible about this. You want to go to TSA and Clear in my case, which is like buried over there near the South checkpoint. Then there's regular TSA, then there's Clear without TSA, and then there's regular security. It's oddly laid out. Okay, so we just did airport security. Even with TSA PreCheck and Clear, this might have been the longest amount of time I ever waited. Like, I'm not in a rush, it's fine. But I think I was there for like 35 minutes, like just shockingly long. Now, fortunately, since we do have time to kill, guess where we're going? The United Club. So I don't think I'm gonna get anything because I'm not actually hungry, but they do actually have a scrambled egg and breakfast cheese burrito, so that's cool. There's also oatmeal bar, as well as pastries, that kind of thing. Decided to get some oatmeal and fruit, you know, a little healthy after, frankly, everything we've been doing on this trip. Why not? It's about time to go, and good news for me, I was just upgraded to first class. Why not? Let's go enjoy ourselves. I am officially back home in Chicago. So normally this would be about the end finale part of the video, but I'm actually going to go to the club lounge and I'm going to get some food and I'm going to talk to you guys about something else. So I just left the club lounge. I had a chicken primavera as well as a couple of sandwich bits. It was good. So lunch was totally fine. What I actually wanted to talk to you guys about was this. This is the Hemispheres magazine, you know, those in-flight magazines you always hear about. So I'm obviously a big fan of United. This is the last issue they're ever producing of Hemispheres, at least physically. So it's got this nice, cool, like, send-off imagery. So I decided to keep one. Apparently you can go online and get one for free, at least at the time I'm recording this, which is September of 2024. By the time this is out, that may no longer be an option. But yeah, I just want to give it a shout out there because I just think as a super flyer, it's a lot of fun to have little stuff like that.
But anyway, so that's that. So I just want to say thank you to, of course, Atlanta Dave, and obviously everybody else down there that we got to hang out with and see and have a lot of fun. The adventure in Atlanta was fun, so if you guys can do me a favor, if you enjoy it, enjoy this, enjoy other content, want to see other content, do me a favor. Please like this video, comment down below, subscribe if you've never done that before. Check out all the social media stuff in the description, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, etc. Spreadshirt as well. You can buy merch. So thank you so much for watching, and of course, I'll see you all later.